Are we on?
We're on.
We're on. I'm Sean.
Are you sure? I'm Dave.
No, look, it's still thinking, but it's going to go in a second.
I'm thinking of Dave.
We're on now.
Okay.
And I'm Sean.
And I'm still Dave.
And I'm Maurice, and we're going to get you guys on screen right now. We got the little front page thing going here.
It's starting soon, but it's actually here, happening now.
It's in-house right now. Look at that. Watch. What? Here we go. 1, 2.
Oh, my God.
Ready? Sean
Stop
gets
it.
the first word.
Hey, so I'm Sean. And it's here
wait.
we are, bullpen.
Now I got no camera.
Still going? Still not?
Well, we don't have a
I'm
picture.
going to wait.
Well, we'll have audio. We'll have audio, so we're going to talk. We are in the bullpen this week at Capital Sports Bar.
Live.
You would never know it
Live.
because you can't see it right now.
That's right. Live. 6300 Lady Hammond Road. Is that correct? Yep.
You guys talk.
I just know how to get here.
There's 6,300 people in here right now.
But while we're getting ready to dial up, we have the wonderful James bringing us some frosty beverages.
James is the best.
Just as Mo's kind of fiddling with the. Thank you so much,
Camera.
James.
Try to get the camera going.
Just a little bit. We Side Hustles played this bar. This bar has had a lot of entertainment
Absolutely.
over the last. Hey guys, this bar's had a lot of entertainment since everything opened up. Everything is selling out. It's a lot of fun, so check them out. Very happy to be here.
Very largely due to Dave and Darlene McDonald, would you say?
Without a doubt. I mean,
It was their idea, wasn't it?
It was.
Well, it was, but I mean, the way they put this thing together post-pandemic, during the pandemic, they did a lot of renovations. It's a beautiful place. It's a safe place to come out, and we encourage you to come out. Hey,
Yes.
maybe on the 17th.
On the 17th, but you know what? Anytime.
Right now.
This is. I'll tell you a funny story before we introduce our guest. I was doing some business here with Dave during the day, and I came in, and there was 5 or 6 people that had been at our show. And they all said, "Hey, Sean, how's it going?" It was really. I kind of had that. I said to Dave, I had that feeling like I was walking into Cheers. It was.
Everybody knows your name.
Yeah, a very cool neighborhood bar. So, like I say, we're on location. We're here at Capital Sports Bar, the Bullpen. We do this every other Tuesday, bi-weekly, if you will. And we have a couple of, how would you describe these, Mo, how would you describe these 2 lovely young men here that we have on the show tonight?
Aside from the pure handsomeness,
Yes.
You got a bad eye, right?
I got one eye. But,
You're on his bad side, Wayne.
what the music industry needs is more guys like this, actually.
yeah.
The most generous people in the business, I'll tell you. And we're going to get to that.
Yeah, so we like to do all kinds of different things on this show that's a little bit different than the actual Barstools.
You see your phone there?
Barstools is more of an interview show, and this is more issues. We get to sit around and chat. We're not really censored. We do our best to not swear. We try to keep it, as good as possible. Don't bother.
He means
Don't
me.
bother.
He means me.
And because we're looking for sponsors, and sponsors don't like swearing. By the way, brought to you tonight by ePrinted. Very, very excited. Greg Sinclair and his crew down there.
Absolutely.
Doing some great things, great things for people in the music industry. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce. You guys probably recognize these guys. You can wave. You can do whatever you want. The gentleman to my far right has a show on CIOE called The Wolf's Den, and we were very lucky to both be on and interview him. Mr. Wayne Schneer, good to see you.
Great to be here. Great to be seen. Thanks for having me, guys.
Get on
And,
that mic, brother. Get on that mic.
Yeah, well, listen, he'll be on the mic. And to my immediate right, a gentleman I've known quite a while, has worked with a lot of different people, Mr. Ed Levick. Thank you for being here, Ed.
Thank you for having me.
Well, hey, there we go. So we get that out of the way. So, you know what? Mo, there's got to be, you and I kind of talked about this when we were setting up, but you mentioned it. The business needs more people like these guys.
Oh, absolutely. Without a question.
Right. So, Wayne, well, I guess we'll start with you. So you've been doing the Wolf's Den, and for anybody that didn't see our interview with you, how long have you been doing it?
This is season 6 for the Wolf's Den.
Season 6.
Yeah.
And in that 6th season, I mean, you've interviewed a ton of people, but you're doing a little bit of a different format now. You're out of the studio. You're doing it in your own place.
Yeah, we've taken the sterile atmosphere of doing it in a radio station. We brought the musicians to my house. We've set it up so that they can play. You can see them. We've also started a YouTube channel. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, so what we basically do is I try to give every artist that comes in an opportunity to play 4 songs. So it eliminates them to have a CD. So they can come in, they can play 4 or 5 songs, and we put that on the radio. And if they do have a CD, then we put their CD into the rotation, and it gets played throughout the day through the jukebox.
Well, and we would all know it's really tough nowadays to get your songs played anywhere. Let's call it what it is. Nobody's really making money on that, platform. You put your song on Spotify and get 1 million spins, and I think you get about 37 cents.
Yep.
It's really tough. So what you're doing, I think, is very important because, Mo, you've been on there. We've been on there. Know all kinds of different people that have been on. I think it's an important thing. And, don't sell community radio short. Those people work hard. They do a lot to fundraise.
And I'll tell you that, and they're heavily invested into it too. I mean, you guys got fundraisers going on now to try to get some extra wattage in your. But you go in the studio. It's a beautiful little place you got in there, and like they got some infrastructure. They got the gear. They got they're a professional. It's not just some guy in his basement.
No,
it's a real studio. But even though it's community radio, people sometimes get the wrong idea about that. And just from the short time I've been dealing with the station, how serious and for volunteers. That's what I'm saying. We need more people. These guys volunteer and they put the time in, and like the Wolf's Den, it's for the love of what you do. And but you guys got a professional platform to do this, and that's why community radio has never been more important than it is now.
Well, I don't want to brag CIOE up too much, but we're the only radio station in Atlantic Canada that has a sound studio that you can come and play at.
Yeah.
We're also the only radio station that has an art gallery.
Yeah.
We're also the only radio station in Atlantic Canada that plays 100 hours a week of East Coast music.
Yeah.
So my thing is if our station goes away, who plays East Coast music?
Yeah.
I mean, I love Tom Bedell, and he's a great guy, and he's got Route 104, but he plays 1 hour a week.
Yep.
And nobody, if you put all the radio stations in Atlantic Canada together, they wouldn't come close to what we do in a week. They wouldn't be able to do it in months.
Well, how about the other community stations? Do they have a similar play guide?
They have a similar play guide, but nobody is as dedicated and as focused on East Coast artists as CIOE.
Yeah.
I mean, you can turn on the radio 24 hours a day and you can hear East Coast music, and you can hear somebody that you would not hear on any other station.
Yeah, like Leona Berkey, like you hear her once an hour, and she's been on my show. She's a great person.
Well, what's the criteria?
I've never heard her on Q104 or on C100 or any of those stations.
I'm sorry, Dave. What were you saying?
I was going to say, what's the criteria to get on your show now? Like,
You know what? Reach out to me. I mean, listen, I don't play music, so I'm not a music critic, okay? If you're big enough that you can get up in front of people and that you can bare your soul and that you can put music that comes from your heart and you can stand on a stage and you can say to the world, here I am, stripped down to the barest that I can possibly be, please accept me.
Yeah.
Then you know what? I'm not going to critique you. I want to hear you.
I think more people should have that, especially when they go to shows, because unfortunately, as musicians and everybody that's played before would know, you're up on the stage and you have people that are double folded and whatever saying, "Oh, I can do that. I can do that." Well, if you can do that, why
why aren't you there?
Right, you're drinking beer in the crowd.
Well, you know what? That's
a clever segue into Mr. Levesque.
Well, and just before we get to Eddie, I do want to say, CIOE, Barstools and Bandtalk, over 5,000 strong, YouTube channel coming on, 23 countries around the world, was actually spawned out of a radio show that I was doing on CIOE about minor sports. And there was no minor sports.
I was
came
one of
on,
your first
Mo,
guys on there, yeah.
Jeff Hope.
Oh, my buddy Jeff.
Yep. And as a matter of fact, the Facebook memories are coming up and spooling, and I started doing that on March 20th. Is when we started it, so that's interesting. Ed, so we're going to get you in here. So, I mean, you've got a long, I mean, I was talking to you at our show the other day, and for a guy that's 42 years old, you've done an awful lot.
You packed a lot in those few years there, big guy.
Almost twice.
Right.
Yeah.
So for anybody that's out there watching has seen this fella at shows before, but just for anybody that doesn't know you, just give them a little bit about your background.
And be real.
Let me see. I started in radio broadcasting. I took a radio broadcasting course. I didn't want to be a DJ, so I opened a record store in the 70s called the Sound Factory. Let's see. I hung around a place called Crawford Music down on Granville Street. I used to pick up like deletes and promotional copies and stuff like that. I did some DJ work. Involved with Entertainment Contacts. I did some work with Donald K. Donald, with Crowbar and Stampeders. I did some pre-promotion. Brought Cheech and Chong to Halifax.
Yeah.
That was
And to Sydney.
and Annie Ganesh. Sydney Academy, November 11th, and Annie Ganesh, and everybody was gone.
And then you forgot where they were after
Yeah.
that.
I was involved with a concert called Orange Rock. I think it was 1971. All the maritime bands, Moon Minglewood and the Universal Power when they were together. Juckatar, Soma, Pepper Tree, Everyday People,
Nice.
Langley Beach Crowd, Snake Eye, all those guys.
Right on.
It was probably one of the best shows that I was, involved in.
Just before my time.
And anybody that knows anything about that time will know how a monster show that was. And this guy put it on.
And I was involved in it. I didn't exactly put it on, but I was involved in it.
Okay,
But
well,
I got the name.
Yeah,
from-
but you're being involved. Was
Yeah.
this a company that was running a
Well, no.
promoter company, or is it just a bunch of guys that, for the love of music?
Basically that, but also involved with Entertainment Contacts.
Yeah, okay.
Skip York and
Yeah.
Vic Goldman and
Yeah.
those guys.
Oh my
So can I-
God.
It was a hell of a show, and also because I had the record store, I had a lot of people. I had, for example, Ocean in my store. I did some stuff with the Box Tops. Just
In-store
my
stuff,
love of
yeah.
music.
Yeah.
My love
So
of
that was my
music.
question when our segue was that the common denominator that we notice some of the people that are behind the scenes, as you guys, as passionate about you are. Did you play music personally yourself? Do you play the guitar? Have you ever been in a band or anything like
No,
that?
I played drums, but
No,
not,
did
not
you ever,
so much in a band situation.
You never ever got serious about it. See, that's what I'm saying. You're not a musician, so you're not out there bashing other. I can play better than him, or he doesn't play the E minor, or he can't keep a beat, or you're there for the pure joy and because you believe in the passion of music, and that's what makes you promote the music. And I think that makes. I think a promoter that's a musician. Or a strong musician when you're trying to promote it, I think that maybe that work against you a little bit.
Yeah.
You're
So
a little
you
bit.
can be skewed, right?
I just like
I
good,
think so.
good music.
That's the word. Yeah.
Good music.
I think I was blessed with a good ear and an ability to talk to people. I always wanted to play, but all my buddies always told me my fingers were like dead guys. They just didn't move. So I should probably just give that up. And when I start singing, that's really not good either. I'd love to be a blues singer, but hey, you take what you can get. And what I was lucky and blessed enough to get is that I got this funky voice that not a lot of people do, and I love live music. And I love people, and as my buddy Jim Womble would say, I was blessed with the ability to get people to open up and talk to me. That I can make them feel good, and there's no ego there. He says that that I can make them feel better than I feel.
Wayne, people love you too, brother. There's a couple comments here. Susan McBride says, "Hi, Wayne. CIOE is my favorite station." And this fella Jeff Bonet says Wayne is most gracious and kind. He treated me great when I was on.
Who?
Cheers.
Jeff Bonek. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah. And so he had a comment on there.
Yeah, Jeff Bonan, greetings.
He was at
Jeff
your
Clark
gig.
saying hi. Dave McPherson's on. And
Shane Moore?
Shane Moore, oh yeah. That's
Shane.
so cool.
Yeah.
Maritime all
I know
time.
Shane.
Hi,
Maritime
Shane.
all the time. And who is it? Somebody got a good Colin McCachran? Is that what he's saying? Check this
Yep.
one out. Looks like the Tonight Show in the '70s, minus the smokes.
Yeah, well, we can bust that out.
Yeah, well, we're not allowed to smoke indoors now.
It's funny. One of my favorite skits is Sammy Davis Jr. was on the Tonight Show, and Carson says, "Well, is any of your friends here?" And of course, Dean Martin comes out, and he's got the drink, kind of like what Dave does, and he's got one smoke, and he's just laughing, and it was a mess, and you could never do that today. Like you just couldn't get away with that today.
No.
Funny how you got away with it in the '70s. So, Mo, you brought up something that I want to touch on again. What we're used to, and I don't want to overstate this, but you guys would know this because you come to the shows and you see it. Other musicians, we're very fortunate that most of the people that we know are super supportive. So if we're playing
People
and
I
they're
want to
not,
deal with for sure. Yeah.
right? Good point. If they're going to be supportive, you want to deal with them. If they're not going to be supportive, then
Find your
whatever.
own. You go. Go ahead.
Right, and that's fine. And like I said, I had somebody that came up to one of our shows and said, and I said, well, I got your $10 if you leave. That's fine. I'm fine with that, right? Yeah. My point is, have you guys, in anything you've done, have you experienced maybe some of that, you're doing a show and there's the clash of egos where, somebody doesn't have enough stage, or they don't like the volume, or they don't like the monitors, or they don't like... Adam, have you dealt with any of that?
Yeah, a bit of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've dealt with the divas. I've dealt with the guys that
Yeah.
like I don't want to mention names, but one
don't
fellow
have
used
to.
to say a little less 4K, and
Yeah. But here's the thing, and I'm glad you brought it up. But and especially that's a good question for you, even more, Wayne. We talked about this a few days ago. We were talking how you actually weren't really, you were put in the position that you kind of basically had to keep things rolling along, and they had to deal with you, and it wasn't even your job. You were just the MC. The stage manager defaulted to you. But you have actually, because I mean, as long as I've known you, I met you through when you were developing.
Here for James, everybody.
There you
James.
There you James.
Thank you,
very much.
James.
And Coors. There you go. Right
Yes,
like
of
that.
course. We're not sellouts, but get
We
Coors
are.
Light.
Well, it's pretty obvious we're sellouts.
Yep.
Come on.
We're like that.
But anyway, what I was getting at is that, you see, when I first met you, actually, I didn't know you, but you've been involved in all this stuff. You were just developing Charlie Acord. He was 18 years old the first time I saw him play. He was playing at a benefit that I was actually putting on, and you brought him in. And that's where I met you. So you have actually not just promoted shows, you have developed entertainers. So you've had to deal with the divas and stuff. They're going on stage, and like you have been on that in the trenches with those artists, and you've developed a few. Tell us some of the people you've developed.
Well,
Come on,
when I first met Charlie, he was busking
Right.
in Halifax, and
Yeah.
somebody said, "You got to hear this kid from
Oh yeah, we
Truro."
knew it as soon as we saw him. Yeah.
And then he was down at the Tickle Trunk, and then he was also on the waterfront, and then I became friends with him, and then I believed in him, and I remember he used to fall asleep when we got to Middle Sackville, and then I'd be driving. We drove to Texas, we drove to Nashville,
That's
Memphis.
cool. That's cool.
When I work with an artist, I believe 100%.
No, that's what I'm saying. It takes a lot. You just don't call it. You're not calling it in from an office somewhere. You're doing it with them. Yeah.
Yep. And my belief, I don't have a contract. I never had a contract with anybody. If the way I look at it, if the artist doesn't want to work with you, he doesn't want to do this show, I don't feel like doing it.
Yeah.
Or if he
Thank
might
you, James.
change his course of what he's doing, then if I don't like that, then we just part ways.
So-
We're still great friends with everybody.
So who else?
Another fella,
Question, Ed,
go ahead.
how, like, you brought bands here.
Yep.
That's Dave McDonald, the owner.
Dave
here.
McDonald.
Yeah, you brought bands here. How do you deal with that? Like, you take a cut, or how is that done?
Well,
Okay,
With-
can you repeat
with-
the question in the mic? Because I don't think
So
everybody.
the mic
heard it.
was, or the question was, when
Thanks,
when,
Dave.
when
Thanks,
Ed is
buddy.
dealing with an artist, how does he deal with them? Does he take a cut? Does he do it kind of pro bono? Does he
It's belief.
it really depends
A
on
leap of fate.
depends on the fee, basically. For me, it's not about the money, not at all. It's the
Hallelujah.
love of it.
Hallelujah.
And
There's
to
another
see
guy. Yeah.
the person. I get the benefit when they start going up the ladder.
That's right.
And then there's a time, either they will leave or I'll let them go. I worked with Jimmy Flynn for 4.5 years. I mean, I was
And you can't
sort of
hold
his
them.
business manager, and
Tell us who else you had, Eddie. Come on now.
a little fella. he was
Just a little fella. He only weighs about 100 pounds, maybe.
Yeah, he was in a country band called Flat Top. He's from Perth Andover, New Brunswick. He's probably the nicest person I know, and he hasn't changed from the day I met him.
No.
Fellow by the name of Matt Anderson.
Matt Anderson, yes.
And he is a gentle giant. He came to live with me during Hurricane Juan, and trees were falling, and he was scared to death. And the water was up to the floorboards of the van. And the hardest part for me was getting him up in the morning to do breakfast television.
I feel that.
That
'Cause
sucked.
he likes to sleep in the
I
afternoon.
feel that.
Some of us, I have a hard time getting.
But
up
I
to
tell
it.
you, he is amazing. And then I
Absolute amazing man.
I don't want to steal the questions and stuff, but
Nope.
you said something, and I'm trying not to, but it's so close. I mean, he just about said the words that I always say about the village thing. But
Well,
what
it's funny you mention that because
that's what you do. Like you say, I'm not in it for the money, and I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, if I was in this for the money, you wouldn't have seen me around here for the last 10 years, dude. Because I mean, that's what I mean. When your heart's in it and you really want to do it, and like this pandemic got me on this track too. And I mean, I'm not a philanthropist. I don't have money to throw around. But what I do is I got a little bit of knowledge, and if I see somebody working as hard as I am, I want to pull them along.
Here's a little
And this
shout
is-
out for
You've
you,
done that
Maurice.
for 20, 30 years, right?
Here's a little shout out to you. Maurice, you're always looking to help everyone, always making,
That's
trying to
Leslie,
make.
isn't
Well,
it?
you can't say the names. Always trying to make your little village a big village. One of your many outstanding qualities, and that's true about you because he's the first person
But there's
I
another
heard.
guy right there. There's another
But
guy.
you quoted the term village, but it's like as Sean and I go on with this thing with Barstools, we're meeting more and more people like Ed, people like Wayne.
And those are the people you want to be with.
You know what? It's the quality of people that your association with, and our association has grown so much, and it truly is a village. We can't do it by ourselves. We all have to care. We all have to kind of commit. We have to volunteer. We have to maybe organize, delegate a little bit. But you know what? We're going to get through this pandemic, and we're going to make this community, which is another thing that we talk about in community radio, stronger and more important, I think, for people.
Yeah.
Now I go to jams. I've judged.
That's the time you put in. That's
I've
right.
judged a lot of talent contests,
Right on.
blues and
Yeah.
country.
Yeah.
I remember George Canyon came to me. He was a guest judge at a final, and he said, "You should manage me. You know more about country than anybody." And I said, "Okay."
What a flattering remark.
Yeah, but I said to him to go to the States and do that Nashville Now or whatever.
Oh,
it
you
was.
told him to do that.
Well, I said, well, you'd
That's
be
pretty good advice.
You'd be stupid not to. But I told him, don't win.
Yeah,
got-
no,
they got
no,
you.
no, no, never win
They
one
got
of
you
those.
then.
Takes
You're
direction
doing
very
their
well.
songs.
Come in fifth.
Isn't I think somebody gave Headley that advice when he was
Yeah.
on Canadian Idol. He said, "Don't
Yeah,
win." So,
don't win,
So he
man.
actually saw. He went right over the cliff there. But hey,
Yes.
but look, hey,
don't do that part either,
Pretty
yeah.
good career.
Yes.
Pretty good career.
But George came in second, I think.
Yeah,
In that
that's right,
judging.
So
yeah.
we took good feedback.
Yeah.
I want to say too, part of our MO on this thing since we started, because I mean, let's call it what it was. It was something that we thought we were going to do for a very short period of time. I thought that I would
Kill
be
a few
playing
weeks,
again, and then you start seeing the lost weekends that are gone. You start seeing the money that you're not making gone. You know what I'm talking about, Mo. So it starts getting a little bit bigger and bigger and bigger. And we had a couple of simple rules. One, it was going to be a fun place. So if there was any backbiting, if there was going to be any nonsense, you were gone.
Yep.
Thankfully, we've only kicked out 2 people.
What thousands? That's pretty good. Those are pretty good
5+
numbers.
thousand people.
There you go. We're nice people.
The other thing was everybody was going to be supportive, and by that, there was going to be no ripping of anybody or whatever. So now we start to get into this promotion thing where we're promoting shows. We'll promote anybody.
Yep.
And I do mean anybody. If you work with us and you are
And put the work
basically-
in, too.
Put the work in and
That's
be
the
kind.
name of the game. You got,
And to be fair, to be part of the village. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
If you're like
Yeah.
a tree outside the village, we don't want to rein you in. You know what I mean?
Well, go do your own thing and see how you make it.
But you know what? You're welcome. Just come knock on our door, man. You know?
Right. Oh yeah, and we'll do it anytime. But the one thing you have to be kind and you have to be willing to help other people out. And by that, one of the things, and Mo, we've talked about this before. That doesn't mean going out and Mo's going to do the gig for $100 and I'm going to go in and say I'll do it for 50. That doesn't help anything. We got to set the table. Everybody's got to win, and we're not talking about some big socialist deal here. We're talking about building this thing back up. And here we are at Capital Sports. One of the success stories of stuff that's been going on since everything opened up.
Absolutely.
Right. So these are
Here's
important
another thing
things.
too. Here's another thing. No one's ever had to really negotiate fees and stuff like that. And not even before the pandemic. Especially that's one of the reasons why you have such a lot. You've got a lot, Dave. I'm pointing out to the audience, Dave and Darlene.
Dave McDonald over here.
But the owner here, this is what's so neat about this place, and I've known you for a long time before you were in the bar business, and you've always treated musicians like family or fairly, and like your friends, and you didn't like And I come in here, you've always paid me. I've always felt like grateful that I've been paid, because there have been times that I'm sure I didn't make the money that you put in my pocket. But but we have an understanding. No, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, but the thing is, the same night, if it's a sellout, it's a jam. I'm not feeling that. Geez, he's making money off my back. You've always been very, very fair, and it's a two-way street here. Yep. And when you get the guys out there that are undercutting guys playing for $50 or playing for nothing, it's like you're not really interested in having those guys here. You want something a little better than that anyway.
Okay, let's talk about the previous generation, because that kind of stuff always go on, Ed, and Wayne too.
That's a great, yeah.
So, I mean, did you see that kind of stuff go on? Was it a community back in
Has
the
it
early
always-
70s, or was it?
Well, I know in the blues community, if you're not a part of it, they kind of
a little cliquey.
little slight you. But I mean anybody that I work with, I always say, listen, you see the same people on your way up as you do on your way down.
My grandmother used to say that all the time.
And
that's probably one of the best
integrity
things.
is a big thing.
For me, the way I look at it is this, and the way I've always experienced it is when you get somebody that's coming in that's cutting other people, when they're cutting the legs off of them and when they're undercutting them with their bids and stuff like that, you know what? They go for so long. But at the end of the day, for me, the community that we have here doesn't tolerate that, and it doesn't foster it, because the musicians around here in the Atlantic provinces are all so eager and so happy to help each other and to collaborate and to get together, because we do have a big family
right.
and a big community that we don't see a whole lot of that.
No.
And to go back to the other thing about the divas and stuff like that, I've done an awful lot of music festivals and I've done an awful lot of benefits and stuff like that. Maybe 2 or 3 over 10 years, but they learn. You get to do it once.
That's right.
Right?
Well,
The
that's a good
first
point.
one's free. You're going to pay for any more after that.
That's a good point.
And and again, when you work with professionals, the non-professionals stand out, and it doesn't take long to deal with them.
You know what's funny is that we've met. Sean and I are 80s rock kids. That's who we are. Right? That's our genre. That's what we know. And we've kind of tried to disperse around with this show, whether it be country, whether it be jazz, whether it be blues, whether it be hip hop. And we've met some really cool people in the hip hop genre. They get it. They are collaborating right from day one because they know it's a relatively small community in Halifax.
Well, it's actually a big
But
big
it is getting
movement.
bigger, and they all work together, and it's so
Yeah.
cool to watch that. Sean's son Zach, and our we had Ghetto Sox on there, and even the younger generations, Matt Muse. Like these guys, they're using modern social media platforms, and they're all working together to build and celebrate their own village, and it's
There's-
part of ours too.
I
It's
can't
kind of cool.
I can't get over it. Some of them are actually online and they're debating
Yep.
a subject, but they're freestyle rapping
Yeah.
to get their point across. Now, I'm sorry, but you got to be pretty quick to be thinking on your feet that fast.
There's a lot of talent in that genre, and it took me, I wasn't a fan. Then I saw 8 Mile, and I was like, okay, that dude's talented, right?
That was a great movie, actually. I love that
Fantastic movie, and sort of autobiographical, but a ton of talent in that community. When we met Darren Piper, Ghetto Sox, I mean, story about him. And here's how quickly that community. So I was playing at the Halifax Ale House one night with the Frequency, and Ryan Boudreau, my bass player, and I were on a break, and he goes, "Oh, I get introduced to Darren Piper. He'd be very helpful for Zach." So I went out. I said, "Hey, Darren, my son's doing some rap, hip hop." Darren called him the next day.
Yep.
Started helping him out, hooked him up on a couple of shows. He did 3, maybe 4 shows. And to this day, every time I see Darren, hey, all the stuff he's doing is so wicked. And I mean, he didn't even know him. And he was just because he was willing to he met me and whatever. Very cool what they do in that community.
That's neat, because that's a good point, because I did a show 15 years ago. I was doing sound, and I got to meet Luke Boyd, Classified.
Yep.
And he at that time he was developing Jordan Croucher, and these guys are all gravitated around him. DJ Avi's been a side guy for years, but those guys have done they've been fostering a community.
Yeah.
They've brought so many people up that they've done the exact same thing. And when you see guys in that community, they start playing together. That's why in hip hop you see a lot of guys featuring so and so. They're
Yep.
all buddies.
Well-
They bring up. It's a village of that genre.
Dr.
But I mean,
Dre and Jay-Z
they have
are not
developed-
who they are because they're dumb.
No,
They
and
get it.
they have developed a
That's right.
lot of entertainment. They've developed a lot of artists, and like guys like and you. I mean, you guys have seen over the years. You see a couple guys get going, and they connect with a couple people, and next thing you know, you got this. It's almost like a generational thing. But when you're talking those names of the '70s and all that, like that concert, like that precipice of that show that you promoted, that amazing show, that was a bunch of bands that were all orbiting around one another at the time. And I think if there were a whole lot of divas within that group, they probably wouldn't have been so well invited into that. You know what I mean? And I think that's what happens. Like you see that.
There's versions of them that split.
But there would
and
be
did
like
other-
somebody that would be like the matriarch and the patriarch, kind of the people that the nucleus of that in comparison. Like over the years, who would you compare that with? Like somebody that actually is in the center of it that promoted that. Aside from yourself being a promoter, I mean, like as far as an artist. Like is that always been like
I know Dutch Robinson is working
Yeah.
with a lot of young kids.
Yeah. There's a great example actually.
He's out in Vancouver right now.
Is he? Yeah.
He
I
actually
haven't seen him in a while.
He was in town. They
your birthday.
recorded a drum sort of. It's called Jubilee, and they've got it on Eastlink right now. Well, it was on March, but
I think Gordy Sampson's another guy like that.
yeah.
Guys like that. They once in a while these certain people they bring around a bunch of people.
And Bruce Guthrow
Yes,
Yeah.
a perfect example. Yeah.
Yeah.
with the song Circles.
Circle, yep.
And everybody's willing to do it. He doesn't have any
Yeah.
problem getting people on board, right?
And then you get people like Dave Gunning and J.P. Cormier that group together, and the Elliott brothers.
Well, yeah, JP, I don't know if anybody knows, but I think right now JP's in the studio doing an album, and I think
Always.
and I think that Gunner's in doing one as well, and they might even be doing one together, and they're hopefully guests that are coming up soon on my show.
We had we had JP in our show. It was fun. We got off to a little bit of a fun start, but then it rolled after that, and he he did a great job. He did a great job. I myself, I can tell you a story. There was two stories for me when I was coming, and maybe everybody can kind of share. The first one, I was playing the Old Crazy Horse, and if you can remember, there was two dressing rooms. There's the one over to the left that was big and spacious, and there's the one where they threw all the gear. And we were in the one where they threw all the gear, and we're sitting there, we're getting ready to go on. We hear this knock on the door. Guy comes in with a 2-4 beer and says, "Hey guys, good luck." And it was Meatloaf. We were opening for Meatloaf. Couldn't have been a cooler guy. That stuck with me. And the second one was playing the Misty Moon, and Greg, I'll think of his last name, but he was the drummer in Svengali. He played with Billy Idol. Very good friends with Louis Arnaz Jr. I had a couple of busted cymbals. And he made a call to his Zildjian rep, and he actually got me a deal with Zildjian because he's like, I cannot look at you playing those cymbals anymore. Two things that stuck with me when I was a young pup coming up. Those are the things that I think when you're at a show and somebody's being an arsehole, that you just go, okay, well, you know what, whatever. We won't deal with the arseholes. We'll just have the memory of the guy that helped you along, and you keep that, and you roll with it. Right?
The good memories always outlast the bad memories anyway. The bad memories go. They really do. Yeah.
Like I said,
It's like an ex-girlfriend or something like that.
Yeah, I can only remember in all the times. I can only, like I said, one or two real divas. But speaking about good moments, the first year I emceed at Kemp Shore, Dave Gunning was one of the people that I had to introduce. I was freaking out. So I go online and I go to his site and I print off the whole bio that they've got written on the site for Dave Gunning. And so when I get up to the Kemp Shore, I go in the green room and I say to Dave, I said, "Dave, this is what I'm going to say about you when I go out." And he starts reading it and he goes, I don't know where you got this stuff at. He said, but I don't do Acadian. He said, I just do me, man.
Yeah.
And I said, well, what do you want me to say? He said, just go out there and tell them that we've been having a good time backstage and we hope to have a good time out front stage.
Wayne, it's funny you say that because, I mean, when we first started this thing, Sean and I had totally different modus operandi. He would be like, just wing it, man. I was like, no, I got to get some information. So we're interviewing Jackie Smith for our very first interview on the show for Barstools. We know Jack. We've known Jackie all our whole musical career. But I'm trying to figure out some information. I was like, after that, it was like, you know what? We just want to wing it. The more stuff we know, the more stuff we look on Wikipedia. If we're talking to like some international stars, the more stuff is wrong. So if we just try to make people feel comfortable and we're just authentic and hey, we're not going to embarrass anybody, we're just going to talk to them.
Yeah.
Then people will tell us the real stories, and we've got some great stories of some great artists. You know?
I find too, if I go and I ask some of the people that they've performed with and stuff like that, like, tell me a little funny story that happened, nothing embarrassing or anything like that, but just tell me a little nugget that I can bring up, and they go, how do you know about that? Right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it always creates dialogue.
Sure.
Right? And it makes them feel that at least you've taken the time.
Yep.
You know, to figure out who they are.
A little Brian Lanahan.
Yeah.
I got a Jackie story.
Go ahead.
We were in Truro.
Place to do it.
We were in Truro, and I was
Scotland Yard.
working with Jimmy Flynn, and I'm trying to even remember where it was. But anyway, they were doing an auction.
Okay.
And Jackie was the auctioneer, and he was tanking. And anyway, he was trying to sell a cord of wood. So Jimmy Flynn knew what was going to happen.
You should have called Morris to go on. He can sell any shit.
Yeah.
Oh, no, Jimmy Flynn. No, not as good as Jimmy
No,
Flynn, though.
wait. So
You had
Jimmy
to
gets
ring
up there. He ends up, this is up in Truro. There's a cord of wood in Truro. And he ended up selling it to Jackie Smith.
Get him off the stage. So on that note, good. Want to pay some bills. Want to say thanks to our folks at ePrinted, Channel Technologies,
Thank you.
Molson Coors,
Absolutely.
Capital Sports Bar.
Capital
Yes,
Sports Bar.
definitely.
Can I bring in a new one?
Sure.
We have a brand new corporate sponsor that we're going to talk about here, a corporate partner of ours, and it's going to be McFetridge Piping Systems Incorporated.
Nice.
And what Ricky does is heat pumps. So if people talk about the shoulder seasons, good, bad, indifferent. If you have heating in the winter, obviously, and cooling in the summertime, Ricky's going to be your guy. We're going to have a special Barstools program available for you, special pricing and good deals to have from McFetridge.
And I'm not a sellout, but did we mention side hustle?
Here we go.
Side hustle.
It was coming.
Right? Look at that.
Amazing concept.
very-
I
Various
wish
colors.
You know what? True story. Is in various colors.
I owned a refrigeration company.
Okay.
Yes, you did. That's how I met you, actually. Yeah.
But now you own the bar, so just
Yeah.
we're going to talk about
Anyway,
the bar.
we had somebody that actually requested pumpkin. We had somebody that requested purple. So anyway,
Now you get teal.
direct message us. We can hook you up with one of these bad boys. We get decals. There's other stuff coming. We don't know what it's going to be yet, but
I'm glad I brought my masks.
yes. Maurice, hey, Maurice, you taught me well because, like I say, I'm around Maurice. I just feel like I got to sell something.
He's
It's
a
amazing,
Carney Huckster.
right? He's just yeah.
I need some sponsors. I need some swag.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm
We'll
happy to help
fix
you.
you up with
anytime.
some masks and license plates. There you go.
So, I want to shift gears a little bit because we've been kind of on the happy whatever.
All right.
Everybody knows that the music industry, and if you've been in it for a long period of time, it's the worst industry in that it seems to always let you down, but it's the ones that kind of stick around. And I can say this because I got out of it for 5 years and got back in. Maurice has been doing it pretty much since you graduated from high school,
Pretty much.
right?
Yeah.
But it's one of those industries where you think you're chugging along, and all of a sudden the arse falls out of her, like you were saying, Wayne.
Without any, and it's not even your fault.
And you don't even see it coming, right? I can tell you instances of being sued and club owners not paying you and getting gear stolen and losing gigs and
Fire club burning down.
a club burning down or
Yep.
getting injured. I mean, I had to play with a broken ankle one time.
Double
So,
booked.
Double. There's the old. Listen, that happened to
That,
me as recently as
everybody
fourth-
felt
yeah.
that one. Yeah.
The showdown on the wharf down to go onto the Silva. So I've done that. But you gentlemen, again, you don't have to name names, but Ed, as you've been part of this whole little industry, there had to be some downers where you said, "Why the hell am I doing this? Why am I going to pick my socks up and get her at her
Actually,
again?"
had to think about it. Yeah.
You don't have to name
Well,
names.
No,
Oh, no.
I've done some shows that I lost money,
Yep.
but that's part of the game. You win
Yeah,
some,
you
lose
win some, you lose
but
some.
I've never, the rates what they're paying musicians nowadays is like what it was like in the 70s.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah.
And there's a built-in thing that a man should get whatever, $100.
But isn't
or
it funny? Because back in
$150.
the '70s, it was $1.50 for a beer.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it was $1.50 for a beer, and
55 cents a draft, I think it was
But you
when,
know
I,
what,
when I first hit the bars.
Sean makes
yeah.
this point a lot, and we talk about this almost too much at the beginning, but it's so true. You're not paying a musician for that 3-hour period of time. You're paying that musician for their hours and hours and hours
Oh, buddy.
of trying to learn their craft, hone their craft. It's the things that you gave up. It's the sacrifices that you made to get to the point where you're at, so that you're worth X amount of money. You know what I mean? And that's the thing that people say. Even as I was at work today, it says, "Oh, you made a couple $100 a weekend at that show. It was pretty easy money." He's like, "You have no effing idea how easy that money was, right?"
Take it away, Wayne.
40 years in, give her.
Listen, brother, I'll tell you right now, one of the things that bothers me more than anything at all, the one thing that's kept me alive, and people say, "Oh, yeah, you're just speaking words." No. I was on the verge of death. I was going to leave this earth. And when I came back and I started to get healthy, the thing that made me the healthiest was getting back to live music. Okay?
Amen.
Now, I don't care who you are, what you're doing. You will pay a mechanic $85 an hour to change the oil in your car that you can get a friend to do for $10 in the driveway to pay for the oil. You will go to Starbucks and you will pay $8 for a really, I'm sorry, Starbucks, not a good coffee. Okay? A regular coffee.
I guess they won't be a corporate sponsor.
Not of mine, anyway. But the thing is,
Call me
nobody wants to pay $5 or $10 at the door to hear a musician play for 2 or 3 hours. Now, where can you go and be entertained for $5 or $10?
So
The way I look at it is, if you're going out to eat and there's a band playing there, or a group or a duo or whatever, you should be adding an extra 10 or 15 bucks to the top of that bill to stick in the top tip jar. And that's not for the both of you, that's each.
Yeah, but
Okay, it's about time that we started appreciating musicians for what they are. When COVID hit,
everybody started crying.
what happened? Everybody got all sad and down and depressed, and then boom, a website started up on Facebook, and within a week, 200,000 people were watching it. So that just tells you how important music is. So just turn off your radios for a week. See if you can do it. No, you can't.
You can't.
All right? So support the people that are giving you the joy. Music is the only thing in the world that can take you back to a minute in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing else can take you back there. 2 notes of a song can take you back to that.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's
No, absolutely.
That's a
And-
song. I'm going to write a song about that.
Well,
Ed,
and
Chime in, Ed, please.
well, and I just want to say just quickly, I think, and you nailed it, and I think what happened, so there was a thing in the news 2 or 3 weeks ago, Fredericton in New Brunswick, they're actually taking music out of the curriculum as far as a mandatory piece of thing for school.
education, yeah.
And Russell Javers, who Billy Joel, we interviewed him, and he said it's always the arts that gets hit first, right? Always. So anyway, to what you said, it's like I think it's not taken seriously, but I think sometimes too we as musicians don't take it seriously. No, we'll do that gig for exposure as opposed to playing for what we.
You get frostbite when you get exposed, okay? All right?
I'm
You
stealing
get
that,
arrested.
brother.
You get arrested for that crap, all right?
Well,
I'm going to go home and get my notebook out.
Listen,
I'm
I'm
gonna
telling you,
watch
man,
the
we're getting
rebroadcast,
Schooled.
and we're going to write a song.
Maurice is
I'm
right
gonna-
now.
I'm gonna write
He's
a
already
song.
writing the song.
Good
wheels are turning.
Lord.
Ed, would you agree?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
That's. I mean, that's a good reason. I mean, it kind of explains like you guys are here on the panel tonight, and that's the attitude that we knew you had, and that's the attitude you have to have the perseverance to both do what you do. Like you said, you've lost tons of money in this industry, and you never turned your back on it because your heart was in it.
Yeah.
I mean, you go to festival after festival, spending your own gas money, buying your own drinks, and doing these shows because you love to do it.
Yeah.
Let me ask the question now, Wayne. You haven't been out. You haven't been out to watch a band since COVID kind of hit. Now, we saw you last weekend at our show. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming out for that. Ed's out all the time, but it's like, to be honest, it's a scary time for folks. It's your comfort level, whatever you want to. But we really appreciate you coming out.
Well, one of the reasons you're going to see a lot more of me, I'm always telling people to go out and support live music, and you don't see me there.
Is that back to that exposure thing? We're going to see
Well,
a lot more of it?
well,
winter's
you
almost
might.
over, too.
But
It's getting warmer.
but I got the shot in the arm.
You got the jab, did you?
I got the jab. I got shot right in the arm, and I'm going to get out. I want to get out a lot more and support a whole lot more live music. Look, the only way that live music is going to survive, and the only way bars. Here's the thing, we're talking about music, but there's another industry here that has taken the biggest hit. Okay, next to musicians, the retail or the service industry, the bar industry. Bars and that have taken it. I mean, they just start to get up on their knees, and somebody comes along and punches them in the head again and knocks them back down again.
Amen.
And there's never been any regulation through all of this. One bar does one thing, another bar does another thing. The government tells you can do this, they tell you can do that. It's craziness.
Well, and I've personally been very vocal about how everything, Dave McDonald's sitting right here. The first time that they open back up, Dave's calling me to ask me what the rules are. That's a sad statement. He should know what the rules are. He shouldn't be calling me to find out. We do a show here, and we go 6 till 10, and then the Friday before they say, 8 o'clock tomorrow morning on a Saturday, you get to stay to 11.
Yeah.
And we're going like, he's got food. He's got, he told me, what was it, Dave? 5 kegs of booze you lost.
Yeah.
6 kegs of booze when they shut him down.
What would that be worth, really?
What's $225 a keg?
To do the
So
math.
You're $1,400, $1,400.
Over
right, like that.
$1,000.
Now, listen, this is not a job that any of us want. This has never happened before. I'm not going to say it.
No.
But at the end of the day, we don't know. This is going forward into the unknown.
The truth is, it is what it is. Like
It is what it is, but
But
it's
it
not what it's
shouldn't
not.
be.
Because here's my point. If you're in a position of power and you're getting paid to do something, and I'm going to tell you that you can't open, then I should be able to take my money, and for every bit that you're losing, I should put it somewhere. I shouldn't be still getting my money and sitting in my high horse saying that I can shut somebody in.
Yeah.
That's a problem that
Here's
I
a
have.
bullshit $40,000 loan that you can pay back without interest if you pay
Right.
it back in 2 years.
And this what gets me riled up. That's me personally.
So this is what bullpens. This
We
is what
need a mic in the audience.
Yeah,
That's
well,
what we
you
need.
know what,
We'll
this
get
is-
one next time.
I actually was going to take the 20,000. They offered $20,000.
So they offer you 20 grand and you almost took it.
I was gonna, because I was sliding my.
You were going down, okay.
Because I was shut down for 108 days.
108 days you were shut down.
From St. Patty's Day last year to St. Patty's Day this year.
Jesus.
I was shut down.
Wow. 108 days from St. Patty's Day to St. Patty's Day. And you know, people don't realize, Christmas comes at different times of the year for different industries.
That's right.
Absolutely.
St. Patty's Day is New Year's Day to anybody that plays Irish music.
you know what? Listen, if anybody wants to see how much money got lost, go down and talk to the guys at the Ale House or the Old Triangle.
Right, and Ed has something he wants to say, but I want to make one more point on this, right? Because we've been asking these guys. We got a new premier now. Hate to say it, more of the same. We've been asking them to sit down. They have not been sitting down. I know bar owners that are still frustrated. I was told personally to join an association, which I'm not going to do. So guess what? You created a monster. I'm here. I'm going to stick up for these folks and my fellow musician friends. Mr. Premier, I want to throw a shout out to you. You're probably not even watching, and whatever.
He's
you know,
drinking.
No, that's
never
fine. Make the
know.
province green because I
You're
think it's a
making
good
waves,
thing.
buddy.
Well, make the
Everybody's
province
getting-
green. I think it's a good thing. But start meet with these people and find out why the heck they're in the situation that they're in and why they're trying to contribute to your economy, our economy, and you're not listening. You're not talking to them. Ed,
Now everybody's getting CERB attacked. They gotta
well,
pay
listen,
taxes
tax
on the
time's
money.
coming, right? Tax time's coming. A friend of mine works for Revenue Canada, and he's like, people are freaking out, and it's like, I don't blame them because it was like free money, and now here, like, nobody thought this time last year when they were collecting the money that this time would come, and here we are.
I never was. I was pretty aware of that at the time. In fact, I'm glad we're on the subject. Last when the first shutdown happened, I had a little.
Thank
bit
you,
touch-
James.
Thank you very much, James. Once again, James, there he is. Take
Just
us,
James.
just the
on the
water.
camera. There you go.
You can have
Say hi. Say hi, James.
He
There you
says
go.
hello.
Say
He
hi,
says
there
hi.
you go.
There he is.
The first lockdown happened, and that's what we're talking about. Like the
I'm good, James.
Christmas comes for different people at different times. Well, also, it was what was really sucky is that bands like Jesus Murphy and Callahan, these guys are trying to make a living. The guys that play down the Celtic Corner and the Triangle, the guys that come out on St. Patty's Day, and all those guys put on these big. And this year they even closed down because they were worried about it. But the point is that the first lockdown happened the day before St. Patty's Day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We all had gigs.
And everybody had loads of gigs. If you know anybody that plays in an Irish band, those guys plan their whole booking year around St. Patty's Day. They got you'll see those guys go from 4 bars
All
on
right,
the run of a
take
day.
it one step
They put
further, though.
$1,000 in their pocket in one day.
Did you have any book for New Year's Eve?
Well, I had a sold out show here on New Year's Eve. And on December the 24th, he shut me down.
So you had a full house for January 1st.
I sold 100 seats at $40 a seat
So you had
$40 a seat.
Wow.
and gone.
Yep.
Just like that.
And then boom, done.
So guess what didn't stop?
So I had to reach into my pocket, give back the money to all the patrons.
Yeah.
No, there's a lot of shit going on. It's not.
Okay,
So guess what didn't stop? The pensions,
Yeah, and I was just gonna
and all
go-
that stuff, and that's what
Yeah.
infuriates me,
And
right?
this what carries to finish what I was going to say, and I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, Sean, but here's this because
Not a
you get me
problem.
riled up too here. But here's what happened: when the pandemic first started a year ago, it happened just before St. Patty's Day, and I mean it's never a good time. There's always something big for somebody that's going to get shut down or whatever holiday it is. It just happened to be St. Patty's Day, so right off the bat, the entertainment industry took a pretty big hit that right off, and the service industry too. Everything was pre-done, so that was a bad hit. But the point is that the people, like you said, that made those put that past that judgment went down. They still get on a salary. Now here's the thing. I had a little bit of money tucked away in the first. I had about a month's worth of bills put in the bank for a slush fund, and that got me through the first lockdown. And I started getting busy with a few off things, and I was worried about getting taxed on the CERB money and all that, and I wanted to get off of it. And I worked my butt, and I kind of got off of it. And then I was kind of rolling on. The bars are starting to cruise along a little bit on a limited scale. So we, I get it. We were busy. That's what made us the darlings of the planet at that point, Nova Scotia. Yeah. What happened? You guys were spared, And then the second lockdown happened, and it was worse than the first lockdown because it's at Christmas time. And then next thing you know, we're slowly getting, now we're all in this big quagmire. But the problem is that my power bill had to be paid all winter long.
Yeah.
My bank loans had to be paid all year long. There's certain bills you can get forgiven for it, but there's very few of them.
Yeah.
I sold one of my prized guitars to get me through the winter. Now, when I have to start selling my tools to pay my power bill and to pay my mortgage, there's something wrong there because those tools are what's going to earn me my money.
Yeah,
and that's not really fair because there's people out there like a sheet of plywood that you would normally pay $10 for is now going for $40. So somebody's doing pretty good on this.
We talked about this before. It's not just the actual
It's
cost
not
of
fair.
things. It's the emotional cost. It's like what's it, like if you're a musician, if you're an entertainer, you can't entertain. What's that doing to your mental psyche? Like what's that doing to you?
Yeah, you guys got to play because it's like breathing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And and for the rest of us, like for me, one of the most hardest things for me to deal with is that I deal with a lot of anxiety and depression anyway, and since this has happened, one of the things is that we can't get away from it. Everywhere we go, every day, no matter what happens, COVID is in our face. And it's either somebody's pissed off about it, or there's a new talk about it, or there's this, or there's a
You walk
discussion.
down the wrong lane.
Yeah,
at the
you
grocery
just.
store?
But you know what? It's just
a good one.
the thing is it's like being inside of a balloon, because you can't get away from it. It's everywhere.
You know where you can go. That's right.
And for me, there are days I feel like I just can't breathe. And I just want to scream like
Without even having COVID.
Yeah.
All right.
And I just want to scream like F off and just leave
Just
me
before
alone.
you go to that, though, and I want to. There's a reason why if anybody's ever dealt with government, why they send you emails at 4:30 on a Friday, and I'd like to put that out to see if anybody in TV land
you
knows,
go.
because I know why, but I won't say it.
You should
And
tell them, 'cause I don't.
Well, so you can't get a lawyer to do anything because no lawyer works at 4:30 on a Friday.
Yeah.
So you gotta go through the whole weekend.
At 4:31,
Right.
You can't call them back.
Been there, done that. Anybody out there that
Exactly.
wants to challenge me? Anyway, we're not going to talk about this.
Just before we go a little bit
But
further,
the
Sean,
stress level,
To Dwayne's point, though, and we actually, you see this number scrolling across the top of your screen, folks. If you're having those kind of days, if it's feeling like it's overwhelming to you, there is people you can reach out to.
Yes, and please do.
And you'll see the Nova Scotia Mental Health Crisis Line
right
there.
there
It's
on
right
front,
on the
all
top of the
show
screen.
long, yeah.
It's 1-800-669-6868. Again, it's 1-800-669-6868. And you're going to see the kids' help number too.
That is the
popped
kids'
up.
help number, actually,
No,
yeah.
that's a no.
no, the other one's
but
coming
they're
up.
both there.
It's 1-800.
429-8167.
Yeah, what he said.
Yeah,
there you
we're
go.
not.
Whichever they're
But that's
there.
important, and thank you, Dave.
Yes.
That's very important. People, you got to reach out to somebody. You can call me.
Don't go.
Yes,
you know
please
what?
call me.
Call me if you know my number. If you're having a bad
call
day.
Wayne, call Maurice, call Ed,
Call
call
you.
Sean, call myself. You know what I mean? Like we're not experts, but we have an ear, and don't go it alone, folks. This is a shitty time.
Just before I get to Ed, because Ed's going to talk about something that's very important on it, not only to him, but I think it's going to be a very, very nice thing.
Yes.
I had somebody recently 2 weeks ago who was having a little bit of a rough time with it, and just different sorts of things. And I don't profess to be a psychology major, but it's interesting when you just let the person talk.
Yeah.
And you just listen, and you don't offer anything up, that they typically tend to feel better and figure out their deal, and it's a pretty neat thing,
That,
right? So
trust me, as a person that has been down a really, really dark road, when you get people that are willing to just sit and talk to you,
Yep.
or just sit and listen, actually, that's the perfect thing. If you can get somebody that will just sit and listen to you and hug you when you need it, and say I'm there for you and actually mean it, that's all you need to do. But just don't dismiss people when they tell you. Don't poo-poo it off, because if
Tough
they,
it up or whatever like
yeah,
that.
if they're strong enough to tell you that they're hurting and they need some help.
You should be strong enough to listen.
Exactly. Thank you.
Well, I know 2 years ago I had major surgery and I was off for 7 months. I drive a school bus. That's my other gig. And the music community got together. In fact, Matt Anderson did a house concert for me.
Nice.
Sent me a bunch of money. Anyway, make long story short, the music community raised over $9,500 for me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
amazing.
awesome, man.
And that happens. I mean, how many benefits have I played at? How many
Well,
benefit- you know,
and it's like
the
this
main-
is a segue.
The main thing was I wasn't allowed to give any or help anybody else. I like
Yeah,
helping
you
people.
would have given it all away.
give
Is
it all
what you
back.
would have done.
Before we get there, though,
Yeah.
you should go through the messages because we
Yeah,
get
yeah,
let's do that.
One question that we kept getting asked, and it's true, like this is a question for all of us. How do you like the earlier shows?
How do I like the earlier shows?
Dave McDonald, how do you like the earlier shows? Is it easier
That's
for you?
a good question.
So you're starting out at 7-ish, and you're ending at 10, 10:30. Everyone up by 11.
It doesn't bother me.
It doesn't bother you. Now, is it better or worse?
No, it's good. I like.
Do the crowds? Do you find you get a better crowd at an earlier time than you do at a later time?
You mean like on the weekend?
Yeah.
Christ,
No, you can say Christ. It's Easter.
Dave
Yeah, it's
does-
Easter time. You're all right. We'll all have communion when you're done.
It's lose a sponsor night here in the bullpen.
the truth is,
Body of
and
Christ.
you didn't even know this, John. I had to tell you last weekend that we were allowed to serve to 11,
Right,
out at 12.
right.
Now, he's kind of in the Bar Association,
Yeah,
and he's dealing with government. Nobody told him that.
yeah. Well, and again, it's funny because it's like it's not like I've been silent. It's not like we've been silent, but they choose to ignore us and whatever.
There's going to be a time soon coming, brother. They're not going to be able
Listen,
to
you
ignore
know
us
what? If there
anymore.
wasn't so many skeletons, I'd be running for Mike Savage's job. Believe it, because I'm getting so annoyed with this. Maurice, you and I both play, and we got to get that here.
Oh, we get there. We're just
But you and I have played everything from the the corn boils that are done at 6 to the ale house that's done at 3:30.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your take on that? What do you like?
I mean, you see, here's the problem: is like if I was in my 20s, I might give you a different answer.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, I really don't mind getting home at midnight and turning on Lisa LaFlamme before I head to. I kind of don't mind that.
Do you like her new hair color?
You know,
That
so
looks very Wayne Schneer. Did you notice that?
But they've been doing that in Toronto for years. I mean, they've been and entertainment shuts down in Toronto for like forever, right?
Yeah.
What we do now is get the bands to come up to their sound check at 6 o'clock. They start around 6:30. They play till about 10:30, quarter to 11.
Yeah.
And then it's over.
Yep.
yeah.
And I'm out of here at midnight.
So that's not a horrible thing. I guess it's so.
I mean-
to this,
For an old man like me, it's a good.
No,
You're
but
not
it's- but there's
old,
also-
brother.
but
You're
the-
not
But the
old.
side product of that, the side. This is a neat segue because we got some good answers. Like we got to address some of this stuff. But I'm telling you, the earlier hours. I'm going to say there's a lot of. Okay, first of all, less trouble in the streets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Less trouble fighting over taxi cabs, and that's another issue. We could have a whole episode about
Oh,
that.
don't even get me started
because
on
I
the
mean I was
taxi
doing a
cabs.
gig. I played a gig the other night at Patrons, okay, and that's an early night, 7 to 9, and I was wrapping up. I was packing up my equipment, and there was 2 customers there, and they called a cab. And so they said, how long? I didn't catch the other. I couldn't hear the other line. But they were sitting at the table was far away. And I heard him asking, and his wife was in the washroom or something. And he said, do I have time to order another drink or whatever? He ordered another drink from the waitress. And I was packing up and
Thanks,
packing
James.
up and packing up and packing up and packing up. And I'm doing this. And I'm there like for half an hour packing up. There's no cab yet. And he's ordering another drink. I'm thinking like, it's 9 o'clock at night.
Yep.
It's not downtown. It's in, I've been to Toronto enough that you almost can walk out to the sidewalk in any side street of the suburbs, and within 2 seconds you're going to see an orange and green cab go by, and you can flag one of those guys down. And how come they can make a living, and yet they complain about not having enough, but not being able to divvy up more cab licenses
that's
at 9 o'clock at night?
that's another story.
During a pandemic when the bar is only
We
a
both
quarter
know
full.
the answer to that question.
So that's what I'm
that's
saying.
another story
But
for
that's
another
a whole,
day.
It's a whole other. That's a whole other topic. But I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But the earlier hours do kind of stymie that a little bit because people are just a little bit more sensible. I guess I don't know.
First of all, there's only a quarter of the people out, but that should be out.
Yeah.
Fair to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At
for
this
the-
point, there's only been a quarter of the people out.
Yeah.
But I mean, personally, I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's a horrible thing to start earlier. It's not a
No, I
horrible
think
thing.
that's a good side product of this.
Yep.
If you can make a money doing it.
That's my point.
Yeah.
If I'm a bar owner and I'm making my money,
Yep.
The
because
house made it for 2:00 in the morning. They started making it. You know?
But here's the thing. This whole, geez, we're doing you a favor by throwing you a bone and let you have the later hours. Well, if you're having the later hours and you're not doing anything, what's the point? So, me, right now, I didn't think I was going to like it, but I kind of do, in that because, you play one of those cabarets, that's a bagger, right? Like you're home at 4:30, whatever. I like it as long as the bars and the restaurants can make their money, and if they
Yes.
don't, then I'll have a problem with it.
Yeah. But so once again, we're working with you.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're not here just to take the money from you and go, hey, I played my songs. I'm out here. I'm not happy if I get paid and you're not paying and you're paying me,
Right.
and I drew 6 people and they show up after I finish playing.
But I
Play for 4 or 5 hours. People are used to you playing those hours.
Yeah.
So you're playing those early hours. So now all of a sudden at 11 o'clock, I say, time, gentlemen, please.
I just, for me,
That's what they do in the UK.
yep. Everybody shut down early.
When they could play in the UK.
Yeah.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay.
Yep, I say that all the time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Got good
and then-
news and bad news.
Yeah. We don't serve breakfast.
By the way, to that question about talking about the Bill Halliwell saying how doing the early morning television, he said he just stayed up. Matt Anderson, he said he just stayed up the whole night before, and then he.
Oh, he'd eat around 3 in the morning.
Yeah,
you
he
were
just
20,
stayed up.
or we're not doing
Sleep
that shit
till
now.
So
4.
how about we do this? We want to get to this.
Yes.
We want to, because there's some good stuff coming
yeah,
in.
there is.
What I'd like to do though, I'd like for Ed to explain something that he's going to be doing.
Yes, let's hear about this.
I think it's a real good thing. He mentioned
Absolutely.
he's a
Yeah.
school bus driver. This is a great story, and we want to help with it.
Right
Let's
on.
do it.
Go.
Okay, I have a little fella that I sort of took under my wing when he was in primary. His name is Joshua Elias. Anyway, he's 7 years old, and 2 weeks ago, his grandmother noticed like a bump. Anyway, she took him. She wasn't sure, so she took him to the IWK. To make a long story short, he had surgery. I guess it'd be a week ago, last Friday. They took a tumor out of him. It's called Wilms tumor, and they also took his kidney. And the poor little guy, he's got 18 weeks of chemo, and he's got, I think, 6 sessions of radiation. The tumor was bigger than they thought. Anyway, so I wanted to do something to help the family. His mom just had a baby, I think, in November, and she's not working. And anyhow, I reached out to Monty's, and on May 23rd from 4 to 9, and on June the 6th at Clay West.
Check those dates, ladies and gentlemen. They're both Sundays.
These are Sundays.
We'll jump on them for
Yeah.
you too.
Yeah.
We'll
Anyway,
get 'em
a lot of the musicians around have jumped on board.
count
I
us
don't have the lineup yet, but
it'll probably get a lot bigger after this.
Yep. Fair to say. Keep going.
well, anyway, anybody I've talked to just said whatever you want, I'm in.
yeah.
That's
I
our
mean, you
community.
guys for
Yeah.
sure,
Yep.
and Gary and Ellen Stanhope, just Wayne, and it's going to
I'm
be
there.
it's going to be a fun afternoon.
Both
And
of them.
and also Josh, he it's really funny. The first year, actually even the second year, he's in grade 1 right now. I used to call him a different name every day. I did the alphabet, so like Andrew and Bobby and Charlie and Donnie, and I got to Zed, and I called him Zorro one day because I couldn't think of anything. But he's a real good kid, and this year I put him he sits behind me, and he's sort of mentoring a pre-primary 4-year-old, Declan. And anyway, it's sad, it just breaks my heart. I put a thing on Facebook, and a lot of comments, and so anyway, we're going to sell tickets. We're, I think, allowed 100 or 105 at Monty's, and then I think 83 or 84.
Do you have like a
Okay.
GoFundMe page or something?
Yeah,
something
is
like
there
that?
something people can do? Right, you did have an
Direct-
email.
direct- donation?
I had her Amy's email address directly because some people don't like GoFundMe because they take a percentage.
Right.
Right.
Oh.
And then a small percentage. But anyhow, so what we're going to do is once the tickets sell, we may do something maybe with a donation and maybe able to watch a stream or something of the music. But
Well, after the show, we should definitely work
Yeah.
on that. And
Yeah.
let
And
everybody
can
know.
we got to get the link for it so that because people can, you got to understand, like Ed said, this lady just had a baby, and her husband's not working. Okay, so not only are they going to need our support when we do the benefits, they need our support right now. So Ed's got an email address, and maybe the guys can put it
We'll
up.
blast
So
that
This will be a Barstool.
If you got
Barstools
some money-
will get behind us for sure.
Her husband actually is working,
Oh,
but
is
he's
he
got
working?
time off for the little guy.
Okay.
But last Friday, they sent him by ambulance to the hospital because they thought he took a seizure, but he was dehydrated, and so he's a little fighter. The fire department came by and with a fire truck and had the hat on and showed him around.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm reaching out to the bus company STC to see if we could do 10 buses to go by his house.
Cool.
Yeah.
and-
We're all over it. So
if you can help him out, help him out.
And he's
You know,
a good
he's.
kid.
I mean, it's a terrible situation for that young man to go through. But I hate. I don't
7
mean to
years
think-
old.
But I'm saying how lucky he is to have you for his bus driver.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's
there
all
you
I
go.
can say
Well,
right there. You know.
I'm lucky to have him as one of the kids too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on.
We're on board with that, and
Well
you guys.
said.
I
This
hope you
is-
guys
know
all
what?
heard
I
that.
hope you all hear this. This is kind of stuff
This
that
is- yeah.
we do. Like every single time, without question, we jump on it every single time.
That's what you're about.
And this is because we care, and it's a real need. It's a community. It's a village.
Well, last summer I went to visit him 3 times at his house.
Yeah.
Right on.
And the grandmother couldn't believe it.
So we will definitely.
We'll be on that.
You're going to get us the info. We will promote the absolute bejesus out of it.
Yeah.
It's important. We did something at Christmas time that went out really well.
Yeah.
One thing I can say about this group, and part of the message was be positive, and they're a good group of people. They
Yep.
always step up in different ways. So
He
get
goes
us that
to
info.
He goes to William King Elementary School too.
So we'll make sure that
We'll make
we
a
get
nice
that.
official
Yep.
thing on Facebook.
We will,
on-
for
on
sure.
our site. Yeah.
What do we got for comments there?
So you got a few now, bro.
Well, yeah, it was basically. It's all about Ed. Ed's awesome. They want to hug you. Or
and
something.
Sean too.
Somebody wants to date you. I think I don't know what that
Yeah.
means, but I don't know what that means. But
Hey Wayne, they love you too, brother.
yeah, a lot of people
Just they're loving everybody but Dave. We got to get Dave some love.
Bill Halliwell loves all of us.
A lot of questions were about like what we thought about the early nights, what people are getting paid, like to look at the whole concept
There
of
you go,
what the time frame is in becoming a musician or an entertainer. And it's not just musicians. Too. We talked about this before. We on our show we've had actors. We're talking about comedians and stuff. We're talking about theater people. It's the whole arts and entertainment thing. And I know some folks get kind of been out of shape when we kind of sprouted out from just the complete maritime music bucket list to national, international, because there's more people that have more of a story. And this whole global pandemic has brought us all a little bit more closer together. We all know we put our pants on one leg at a time. And it's nice to hear superstars hear their stories too. It's not just somebody in our own backyard. We're all going through it together. And it's kind of nice to know that there's a great equalizer that way. And whether it be a pandemic or just something, or the love of music or love of arts and entertainment. Right?
Well,
So-
there's a little bar over in Dartmouth that I go to, and her name is Colleen's Pub.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And during the pandemic, she fed all the police, the
That's so cool.
paramedics, everything, turkey dinner.
Yeah.
And she calls her place the Wrinkle Ranch. 'Cause all the old people go there.
You guys both got a shout out for going to see who was it that was playing somewhere?
Skin
you
and
guys,
Jones.
Skin and Jones,
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
saying they take notice when you guys go out, you know, because once again, this is where I was going on earlier, and we talked about this ourselves. It's like, people ask you to maybe to MC a benefit or a show or an event. Like I've seen a few of them now. We've worked together on a couple,
Yeah.
and you show up and all that, but you're giving up your day just like I am, blah blah blah.
Yeah, there was one
But-
for Roy the Flower Guy. Remember?
Yeah, that was one too. But here's the thing. I put my best foot forward. I get to promote my band. I'm promoting my product. It's a pro bono thing. It's a promotional event, right? But, dude, what are you getting out of it? Other than the love, right? That's what I'm saying. That's why when we volunteer our time, but we're getting something back.
He gets
All
swag,
you're getting
swag,
is love.
swag.
That's what I'm saying is that you guys are purists in what you do, and with musicians and all that. But what we need are more people like you guys. When you guys talk volunteering, you guys literally are the volunteers. Like you know what I mean? Like this thing you're doing for Joshua. The hours that you've already plugged into that, you know what I mean? That's what you do. You could do these benefits, or you go to festivals and you MC. Rarely ever get paid for any of that kind of stuff because they love you doing it. And then they dump extra responsibilities on you because, well, he's there anyway. You do it. And that's what I'm saying. You guys are
blessed.
why you're on this panel tonight, because we need more people like you.
But I'm blessed. I get to spend my weekends in the summer with some of the most amazing musicians that you could ever be around, and people that are there for one reason, and that's to have a good time. I'm blessed that I'm allowed to even be in their company. You know, I mean, I'm just a guy, okay?
You're a hell of a guy.
No,
Benefits and stuff like that. Listen, my wife and I both know all about cancer. We both know about mental health. Well, she doesn't. Her. I don't know how
you both
I don't
know
know how
about it.
her mental health stayed good with mine
Yeah,
being
but
as
say
bad.
you both know.
But the thing is, you know, I've always believed that, you know, we all have it in us to give, and to give my time to somebody. I would much rather give you an hour of my day than give you $1 of my money. Not because I appreciate the money more than I do the time. It's just that I think I can give you more than that dollar.
But the irony of it, and then you both kind of said it, is that you're the first person that'll pipe up and say musicians should be paid more. And yet you're the one volunteering your time to promote them. You know what I mean? And you've been doing
Yeah,
the same thing over the years too. All the money you've lost, you made a bit of money. You know, it's a business, but it's win or lose. But it's money comes secondary. But here you are, the first people to promote
Yeah,
and
but-
make
Yeah,
sure we get paid.
Be real honest.
Thank
so,
you. You
Yeah,
guys
but-
are real. That's real.
Yeah, but
right?
Maurice, you're talking with this little fella, right? With the
Yeah.
You're in.
I mean, oh, God,
So
absolutely.
so Sean and I are in.
Well, you guys are in for
Oh, no,
one of them.
that's the response I'm getting
But that's my
from
point.
everybody.
It's like
You know, look,
But there's only 5 hours for each show, so
Yeah.
I got to try to figure something out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we can help
Maybe you
with
do a
that too.
third show. I mean,
well,
whatever. Yeah.
I mean, one of the things that's been starting to happen, and you know, Maurice was talking about you guys going out, and it didn't happen initially
Yes.
because everything was shut
You'll notice
down.
when you go out.
But we get requests, hey, can you come see our show? Like, can you do this? And so it was getting to the point where, you know, how can we be at 5 places in one night? And
You
we're
did a
sort
good
of
job.
doing it.
You're
We're
doing
sort
a
of
great
doing
job at it, actually.
right? But we had to decide that it was like, okay, if you're going to support what we're doing, we'll do anything we can to support you.
Absolutely.
If you just are playing the show and you want, you know, a little bit of cheap applause, well, you know what, we're not going to do that. And I mean, that kind of right. But stuff like what Ed's talking about all day long, that makes sense. That's good.
All day long.
I've been to
That's
three,
good
three of your shows.
musician
I got
citizenship.
I
Pardon?
got tickets for the 4th one.
Well, see, but it's,
Yeah, but you're a special kinda handsome
you're
man.
subhuman. You're subhuman. but I will tell you. So I mean, I come out. Bane was playing here, and I saw you here, and I hadn't seen you in a while. And you're like, when are you guys playing next? And I told you, you came out to the Frequency. You came out to
Side.
2 Side Hustle shows in the Frequency,
Yeah.
and it's actually great to see you because you're there with Dennis. I know it's going to be supportive. You're shooting video.
Yeah.
I know everybody that's in the room. I can look out and say, at least Ed's not going to be a guy that's going to chirp me if I hit a bum note. He's going to be supportive all the time.
You're so
Unlike
worried
some
about
other
getting
guys.
chirped. You're
No,
so worried about
No, I'm not because you know what? I don't care.
How could you get with the fan and the hair? Come on, man. Who
Listen.
would ever?
yeah.
I mean, come
those
on.
action shots. I mean, you
I mean,
look
you
right
get
out of Baywatch,
I'm going to
baby.
tell you right now. I tell you,
It's like
thanks
my
to
favorite
thanks-
show, too,
Thanks to
Wayne.
Bruce. Thanks to Bruce and to Steve Ruxton, the best rock and roll shots. If he does a rock and roll calendar, it's going to be hard not
No,
to.
it's all
we
Sean.
could make a
It's all
Sean
Sean all
rock
the
and roll
time.
calendar.
I want September. That's all I'm asking for.
What, September
when I-
and
when I
May
do- when
and
I-
June and maybe July.
When I do Facebook Live videos, all my comments are, "Where in the hell are you now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's,
Yeah, yeah.
who's that? Geez, they're good."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, we kind of jumped off that a little bit because we were doing that. We're just ever so I had my phone going, but you know what? We wanted to. People didn't think that we were being careful. You know, like every time we went to a bar, like Capital, like Monty's, like Parkside, wherever place we were going, we always had our masks on. We were being very careful, but
Yep.
it didn't look like it. You know, so it's like we had to kind of jump off that appearance a little bit because we were getting some grief. You know, and sometimes we forget
The
how
optics, that's right.
Well, we forget how big we're getting. You know, and it's like okay,
And
well,
they only see what's in your face. They don't see the
Exactly.
room.
No.
If they hear a din in the background, they think there's 300 people in there and no one's distancing. But you go in a room,
Yeah.
everybody's wearing.
It
they
looks-
only
it
see
looks
that.
that way.
Can I tell you guys a story?
Sure.
So about that very thing, I'd like to say hi to Sven Galley Canada. He knows or she knows who they are because about 2 weeks ago, there was a post that was put on Barstools about a show that we were doing, and it was not very positive. So I ignored it, and they asked the same question, and I deleted it. They asked the question again, I deleted it. They said, "Why do you keep deleting my question?" And I was just like, "Well, it's not very positive, or whatever." Anyway, this person said, "Well, you're just greedy and all you want to do is make money." I chalked it up to the fact that they're probably in another part of the country.
Yep.
I chalked it up to the fact that they don't understand what's going on here. I chalked it up to the fact that they have no idea that we're not making any money.
Yeah,
to be
really.
honest with you. Like, I mean, come on, we're really doing it's missionary work for the most part,
This
right?
is missionary work.
And I just said, you know what?
This is community hours for me.
This is not the hill that I'm going to die on.
Does that mean I don't have to pay you the next time you come?
No. Don't be so crazy, Dave.
You're getting off cheap tonight.
Yeah, that's right. But so here's my point. I did not engage with the person, and within 20 minutes, I had a whole bunch of people that were supporting me with the very thing that we're talking about right here, Maurice's Village thing, the fact that, you know, we're not making any money, the fact that we're, you know, it's a different, and so I was like, okay, you know what? And anybody that knows me knows that I can argue with the best of them, and sometimes we'll do it just because. And I didn't do it in that particular time frame. And it was really good to see other people step up and kind of fight the battle for me.
Yeah.
So love ya, and thanks a lot for the feedback.
If I can interject, that's kind of one of the reasons why we're sitting here tonight on this panel. I think I must have reached. I was one of the. You guys were all in the same thing, but we saw you on CTV News piping up about Barstools and Bandtalk, talking about all these issues, trying to, you know, get engaged with the government and all that. And I thought, look, God love him. There's Sean there on the CTV News. What he needs is a bigger, louder voice. So next thing you know, we're all sitting at Tim Hortons and we're planning to do this.
Yep.
So this is our version of Rick Howe, or you know,
Sure.
Yeah.
mixed with a bit of Howard Stern mixed in there. But we need a voice, and you got a lot more pull than you give yourself credit for, because you know the people, and by golly, that's why you have so many people jump into your defense just like that, and that's why we're all happy to be involved, and that's why you get people of this caliber standing here and sitting here at this table, because you do. When you do speak, people do listen, and you have people on you. We got your back. We got your back.
I do appreciate that, because it's, you know, Dave and I, it's funny. Again, this was started as something, I mean, Dave was doing the show in his mother's basement. I was doing it in my basement. Things were blowing up, and it was slowly going out.
As we could then.
You know, we had free Zoom where,
good then.
right? But we had free Zoom, so it was literally like where we now can talk for, you know, an infinite number of hours. It was like, hey, guess what, Darby Mills? Can we take 5 minutes and reload?
And then 3 hours later,
Right? And I mean, and going from Darby, going like, yeah, I hope this is good, because the last time I got an interview from somebody, it was some guy that was living in his mother's basement.
Yeah, like you imagine that.
So it's gone from that to this. But I do appreciate what you're saying, because again,
people are listening. People are listening.
And here's the thing about me, and anybody that knows me knows that I'm not one of those people that will just say something and kind of walk away from it.
No, you own it.
And sometimes I will step into shit, but I will own it. And sometimes I don't agree, and I'll fight with the best of them or whatever. But this, to me, is something that is, you know, is super important, because I'm just so sick and tired of seeing this industry. And when I say the industry, it's not just musicians, hospitality, tourism, the movie industry, who was decimated by a stupid decision.
The bar owners, the
Right.
restaurant owners.
Thank God the movies are the TV industry is starting to come back a
It
little
is.
bit here now.
They
Thankfully.
got, but they
But
got
you know
doubled down,
why?
'cause they took
You know why? Because our numbers are good. That's why,
And
right?
that's
Yeah,
why
it's
they're
funny
all
though. The
coming
government
here.
took the government shut the industry down before the pandemic. 2 years before the pandemic came in, 2 or 3 years. Like they took away the funding, you know, and then all of a sudden, we got low numbers, and there's a little leeway there. All of a sudden, they're allowed to come back. It's like, you know, it's funny.
They throw a bone.
They throw a bone, but the point is, why would the government, like, they kind of like, you can't do it both ways, you know? If you're going to run an industry, if you're going to let an industry flourish and go like that, it's like you got to let it go with the good and the bad. You got to work with them, you know. But that's so.
Well, I'll end the thrashing by saying this: when you see somebody that in any country that's a minister or of this or a secretary of that, you can't be a minister of health one week and the minister of community service the next and
Yeah.
be the same person.
Yeah.
There's good people that are working in those departments, but they're being led by somebody that kind of is, you know, going like this. And I'm not saying they're all bad people, but the very function of government, unfortunately, is
half the
just
time
so
learning the
flighty.
portfolio.
You learn it, and then you're shuffled out, and then it's right back to scratch again.
Yeah.
So anyway, enough about that.
That was good, though. Man, every single episode, this is number 6 now, believe it or not.
6.
And we've hit politics every time.
Yep.
And then one of the reasons why we started this was that we didn't want to do that on Barstools and Bandtalk, because it's uplifting. It's all about the good, the music and the making.
Yep.
If we need event, we need to do a panel.
Well, look, and I'll say this.
And you do it every time,
Well-
and you're the first one to pipe up there. Okay, and that's what you do. You get up there and you'll stir the pot.
But
and
I'll
that's
say
why
this:
we got your back.
If you put yourself out there to be elected, you got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah.
One of my
Yeah.
favorite politicians of all time is Gloria McCluskey.
Yeah.
There's nobody that will fight, and people
Toe
love
to toe,
Gloria
round
and
for
whatever.
round.
You talk to Gloria, right there we go. Absolutely. You talk to. I can see Gloria when I'm driving down the road, and she's the same Gloria that you will see in city council. She's got
Yeah.
a burner saddle, and she speaks her mind. And unfortunately, her off that council, I think, is a
Major disgrace.
She retired. She
Yeah.
retired, and as
But
she was.
She's
still
greatly
should be
missed,
there.
that's for
Yeah,
sure.
She was, and is, but you just don't
Dee
see.
Snyder didn't think much of her.
No, it was Eileen Stubbs. That was
not
Eileen
you.
Stubbs.
That was,
that's how he started.
Yeah.
But you're going to stick your head above the crowd. You're going to be expect to be hit with tomatoes.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And
Like
she
it-
wasn't scared of them. There's a lot of people there who aren't scared of it, but some of them are. And all we're asking is if you're not scared to be hit by tomatoes, then listen to what we're talking about. Pay attention to what we're saying.
But you said
throw
earlier
tomatoes at
you said earlier you had too many skeletons to run for office. But you know what? I think what we need more than anything is I think we need somebody that's all scarred up and it's got a skeleton full or a closet full of skeletons. Because
Will
you know
you be
what?
my campaign manager?
I will be your campaign manager because I'll tell you what, buddy.
And speechwriter.
The person there would be the real deal. All these guys that are up there that are all fluff and they've got nothing in their closet. Yeah, right. Yeah, I got a bridge to sell you. I'm sorry. We all got dirt. All right, and I think that what we really need in politicians is people that are real.
Amen.
Okay, and people that are people that have actually been in the trenches and know what all this about. Not people that have been living all their lives on big salaries and stuff like that. We need grassroots people. We need musicians. We need teachers. We need doctors. Those are the people that we need in politics.
Look at those ladies in the States that one of them was a waitress. Her name escapes me, but she gets voted in. They had the whole group of ladies, so some women that got in there. Zero experience in politics, women of minorities, and they get in there and they shake things up, and Donald Trump is just losing his mind, calling them names left, right, and center, but they stuck to their guns, and they're going to repeatedly get elected because they got in there. They didn't change their course. What they ran on is what they're doing, and that's what you're talking about. And far too often you see somebody who says, I'm going to do this, and then they don't return calls.
The problem is, though, I think there's a lot of people that go into politics with a good idea, and they go in there with the blinders on to think, you know what, I can make a difference. The unfortunate part is once they get in there, they realize that it's the old boys club. And then in order for you to get something done, you got to do something for somebody else. Yep. And maybe that means doing something that you don't want to do. Yep. But the only way that you can get anything forward is by doing that. I think what we need a cooperative government. It's the same thing. No matter who's in government, they're always complaining about the other guy, but they never offer a solution.
Yeah.
They just tell the other guy's stuff is bad. Yeah. Why can't they come together once in a while and say, you know what, that's not a bad idea. Let's work with that. Mm-hmm. Let's make it work. But there's too much ego.
But you know what? To Maurice's point, he's the first guy who said it, and I give him a hard time from time to time, but I love that term, the village. If we all think from a village mentality, it takes a whole village to grow, to flourish, to nurture and to make any changes. You know what I mean? You can't do it by yourself.
All
right?
we have to do is look back in history at small town. Go to Newfoundland, go to Nova Scotia, go wherever you want. Go to Outport, go whatever. Those people in that community knew that everybody else in that community had their back because that's the only way they all survived.
That's right.
Yep.
That's exactly it.
Right? And that's what we need here. We need all the musicians in that are in this and the people in the service industry. Yeah. They need to know that we're on their side and we're going to fight like hell to get things back to where they can make 100%.
A living. And you know what?
And fairly. That's the big thing, too, is fairly.
Yes,
fairly. And sad statement to me, for me, and what started the very first bullpen was when we were trying to get this committee together, and there was a very helpful person, won't name his name, but he was very helpful, and he forwarded me an email, and he told me this is the way it was going to go down. And basically, here's an email from my manager, who didn't name himself or herself, but basically join an association that's supported by government, and you'll have a voice. That to me was probably the weakest, most annoying response I've ever heard in my life. And that tells me I'm not saying
you're
they don't
buying
care.
in, you're paying a membership.
Hey, you know what?
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
I felt like I was patted on the head and go away, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I won't do that. But I also found out through this little group and through some of my friends and through you guys, we get some people that, hey, we're not going to sit around and just take that for an answer. We're going to keep doing what we're going to do, and hopefully things change.
Yep.
We're an hour and a half in. We should probably look.
Well, soon, yeah, but I got a couple. Just Ed, you started something. I'm going to let you know what's going on here online.
Yep.
First of all, Ruckus is in. They
Yep.
want to help you out.
Absolutely.
And like
Bill Helliwell.
Sean Bates wants to help. Jeff Boning is all over this. Lori Little, the guys in the Acoustic Cats, they want to help out. Like, this is, you just, man.
Why not?
Yeah.
you know,
I've been getting this
if
right along.
I'll throw it out there. I'll help out. I'll put one on myself. If I'll put on a third event if we need to.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll pour my soul into that for you.
And I'll
I
work
put
that.
on-
And I'll work that for you.
and
too.
there you go.
I'll work that for you.
So
too.
you knew this was going to happen,
Yeah, you
right?
knew that.
I mean,
And this is only the first run. Like people will watch this tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day, right?
Well, I was on the board for 7 years of it was called Mayans, Music Industry Associated Nova
Yep.
Scotia. Now it's
Yeah.
Music Nova Scotia, and every province had a music industry, and I was probably one of the few people that left my briefcase at the door. It wasn't
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
my artist
Yeah.
getting fit. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Well, I'm glad you brought them up because Electra, who is the executive director, who is come from away, she's from Ontario. She was extremely helpful in this, and Brian Doherty, who's the president right now, was extremely. Pardon me. I was on the Rick Howe show, and he heard me on the Rick Howe show. I got an email the next day.
Yeah. That's what you want, though. Response.
It was from Electra, and she said Brian heard you, and he wants to talk to you, and so yeah, you're right. And
Well,
And it's a good association to join. If
Yep.
they have a library of information for any
I-
upcoming
I-
artists.
Yeah, and
It
I
started from such humble beginnings to Rick Gautreaux is in the
Yeah.
early part of that too. Yeah.
I really hope that somewhere along the line that community radio gets mentioned and gets
We,
recognized
we
by
should,
that.
let's
Absolutely.
get back. We should get back on that.
know?
Community radio. We're talking about the politics of this and all that. Does community radio? Do they? Are they in a different kind of like? I notice, like for example, Lisa Richard. She has her show, and it's not political at all. It's a woman empowerment. It's a great show. I listen to it all the time.
Yep.
But community radio, do they have a different responsibility than national radio?
Well, yeah, our mandate is completely and totally different
Yeah,
than
this is
national
important.
radio because we don't have their money. So they're not telling us what our programming is. Okay, stations, as you know, a lot of them lately have changed over and they've gone to automated and everything like that.
One DJ runs 5 stations or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. The thing that people need to understand about CIOE in particular is that we are all volunteers. So every show that gets produced on CIOE is done and produced by a volunteer. There are only probably 3, maybe 4 people in that station that make any kind of money, and trust me, it ain't anything you're going to live off of.
Yep.
So we don't have any corporate sponsorship. We have one person basically who is basically funding us. Right now we have our 50-50 going. We're trying to raise money. We have a bursary programming for upcoming artists. We really, really want a station boost in our signal. And we want some newer gear, and we want to keep promoting East Coast music. And like I said earlier, if those airwaves ever go silent, where do East Coast artists go to have their music played? Who else is playing it?
good point. Something too. Jim Robson, ex-head of the CRTC, so he was one of the guys that was responsible for making sure the radio stations were playing by the proper rules. Jim runs that. I'd like to give a shout out to Russell Gross, who's
Yes.
my producer.
Yes.
Who Russell runs the
Russell runs everything.
Fairly?
the Black Cultural Center
Yeah.
out on the number 7 highway. If you go
Yeah.
out there, an amazing building. That dude produces everything. He does his own show.
He does amazing documentaries for like
He's-
National Geographic and stuff
And
like
he's
that.
a dude we got to.
Yeah, he'd
We
be
need
great
him
guy to have
on
on
this
the
show.
show.
He'd be
We
amazing.
need him on
But,
the show.
but he's also, like I said, he's a village-minded person. He's not.
Oh, no question.
He's not self-driven. Like he's self-driven. He's driven, but he's driven for the better good.
My
a
show
very-
would, my show would never ever
But
be.
see, what I was getting at is like, where you've afforded those freedoms because you are not saddled by corporate sponsors and all that. Do you guys get to exploit the full extent of your freedom, or?
I have a pretty wide reign with them. They're very, very good to me. Actually, they're excellent to me. They don't try to tell me what I can put on the air. They don't censor me in any
So
way.
that would be you and everybody else that has their programming too.
Yes, exactly.
That's
like
wonderful.
I mean,
I can tell you on my show, I've never had anybody come to me and say you can't do
Yeah,
that.
that's the thing. I mean,
Yeah.
do you remember when you talk about national radio? They're in such strict like Tom Bedell. Bring him up again. He's a dear friend. I've had him on my own show.
Yep.
And I've been on his show, and you get that 1 hour on Sunday night where you get to see something like what in your ballpark. But as much as he could love something to death, it's out of his hands.
He
It's out of
can't
his
do
hands.
anything about it.
Because Stingray Music owns Canada.
Yep.
You know.
You know, Sean put me in contact with Ken Tobias, and we did a Zoom interview, and 1 hour was not enough.
No.
No.
I mean, I got 3/4
It
of
wasn't
the way.
enough tonight.
No, I got through 3/4 of the hour, and my mind is racing, and I'm thinking I've got a million questions asked
got a
this
million
man,
stories.
and he's got a million stories to tell
What
me.
an
so,
artist, eh?
And so we ended up doing the very first ever double episode of The Wolf's Den with Ken Tobias, and since that time, I've spoken with him several times.
Great man.
And
Awesome man.
just an absolutely amazing man, like just beyond.
Well, and as a matter of fact, because the border's opening up, and when I go to St. John, I told him that we were going to sit down for a beer, so maybe you can come with us.
Maybe,
Yeah,
I
that'd be
guess,
pretty
because
cool.
I
Yeah.
told him I really, really, really want to go see him. I
Yeah.
really want to sit down and talk with him.
Well, and him sitting there telling stories about,
Neil, going to Gordon Lightfoot's birthday party and talking to Bob Dylan in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, it was like,
He's in
I went to
LA.
the store and got what's his name there, sitting at the piano, Billy Withers.
Yeah.
Sitting at the piano saying, Kenny, what do you think of this?
Well, you
You
came
know?
to my birthday and talked to Dutch Robinson.
Yeah, oh, what a treat that was.
well, there you go, right?
Wow.
I didn't talk to Dutch Robinson.
snowstorm.
He didn't talk to me, but that's fine.
You guys speak
I'm
about
okay.
that stuff with humility. You guys have had, I'm sure you guys had like stuff over the years, that kind of, and especially you, Ed, going back and
The
you
box
know,
tops.
But the trick is that you're not a name
No.
dropper. You know.
You know what? Like somebody said earlier tonight, every one of these people put their pants on one leg at
Yeah.
a time.
Yeah.
If you get starstruck around these people, they don't want anything to do with you.
That's right.
Well, and I'll tell you, when we watched the movie Hired Gun, great documentary,
Yeah.
and I said the second that I saw it, if I could spend 5 minutes talking to Liberty DeVito, I'd be fine.
Hey.
So here's the deal: we get his manager, and Liberty will give you 15 minutes. We'll be respectful of Liberty. I mean, this is
Yeah.
a drummer for Billy Joel. You know, just such a cool dude in that movie. Almost 2 hours, and we're like, we want to be no. Let's keep going. And then we get an email from his manager. He had such a great time, and I'm sitting there going, this is a dude that I grew up listening to, and what a freaking humble.
He's
man.
recommended two other guys from
Plays
Billy Joel's
regular
band
Joe.
to come on your show.
He was
regular Joe.
so cool
Plays
So-
drums
so-
for,
so
for
Wayne-
David Fitz over in Newfoundland.
So Wayne,
all the time.
I give him a call and say, look, it's my friend Sean's birthday. Do you mind giving a little birthday message? No problem. Look, I'm going to buy a book from you. You know what I mean? Do you mind, son? No problem. It's just that this is the people that we've met, the caliber
Yeah.
of the people that we've
Yeah.
met. And they're all real humans.
So,
right?
so here's another great story. This one of my funniest ones. So, Tommy Maillet loves Todd Zuckerman, drummer from Styx.
Yep.
So Bruce Nelson sees that, and I'm helping Dave move into his new house, and I get a text from Bruce. We got him. We got who? So I call Bruce. Zuckerman's going to be on the show. I'm like, holy crap, this
Yeah,
is so cool.
met him a few years ago on the Rock and Romance cruise.
What a cool dude. So anyway,
Yeah.
I get his email address. I send him an email. He goes, can we do it this day? And it was like a month out. Send me the invite the day before. Anyway, Tommy's girlfriend, Krista, says, would you play a little trick on Tommy? It's Tommy's hero. So what we did is we talked to Todd a couple months before. He said, this is like a huge fan of yours, and we're going to tell him that you're our friend Steve, and we interviews tomorrow night. Steve's going to come on and play the part of Zuckerman, and you're going to be part of the whole thing. So anyway, and I got a picture that I can show you. So anyway, zoom it in, and there's Tommy, and Zuckerman's like, "Hey, Tommy, how's it going?" And he was so cool. So he says to Tommy, he says, "So were you at my clinic?" And Tommy goes, "Well, no, I was playing. So let me get this straight. I'm your favorite drummer, and you didn't go to my clinic." Anyway, it was so cool. And then Tommy goes on. But Todd Zuckerman was such a cool guy. And I was watching Styx last night, and it's funny, like you have a different appreciation when they're cool. I've had the opportunity to meet some uncool ones, and I get a different appreciation for it too, right?
For
But
sure.
I won't name names that rhyme with Lars Ulrich, but anyway, I'd move on. Yes.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Yeah.
All right.
We were on the Rock and Romance cruise, and everybody's complaining that they had to stand in line so long to meet all these people. Karen and I are waiting to go on the elevator, and one elevator opens off, and this guy in a white jumpsuit walks out and comes and stands about 2 feet away from me.
Was it Elvis?
No, it was. I wish it would have. It was almost, though. It was B.J. Thomas.
Oh, wow.
Mr. Gospel Singer himself.
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
I said, "Well, hello, sir. How are you?" He said, "Just fine," and got on the other elevator. And
He
was
made
gone.
more money as a gospel singer than he did as a pop
Yeah.
singer. And his biggest hits were pop hits. Yeah.
Michael McDonald walks down the alleyway by us and said, "Good day, sir. Good day."
Just looking in the mirror.
I was going to say, he must have thought he was looking at his twin brother. Good Lord. His more handsome twin brother.
It's another quality you guys two both share. You know, you talk about these stories and and fondness and all that, but I've never ever heard you once ever name drop or anything. Neither one of you guys. You guys aren't like that. I think that's what makes you guys so successful in your
The first time I talked to Wayne, he said, "Do you know Dave McPherson?" That's what he said.
Well,
True
it's
story.
with the exception of that. I mean,
story.
with the exception of that.
I knew him when he was
How
David.
could you not talk about this guy? Come on.
Dad? Is that your dad?
But you know what? To name drop is kind of silly because every one of the people that I've met that are considered big celebrities or something were all just regular people.
At one point, yep.
But still
And that's
were.
where, I think that's where you guys gain your respect too.
I mean, when you sit in a motorhome with some of the biggest names in folk music and they offer your wife their seat and sit there and entertain you for 2 or 3 hours, I mean, how blessed can you be? And they're just like, "Oh, we're just having fun."
Yeah.
That's
pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So, what do we say? An hour and a half. This has been great.
Oh, it's been great. We could go on again, but everything. I mean,
I would like to do one more thing.
I
though.
think
Please.
you got the floor.
This is it.
I would really like all you folks out there, please, please, please support local radio, support local musicians, and if you can, go to CIOE's website right now, click on the buy
We
tickets.
Bill Hallowell posted it for
Yeah,
us tonight.
buy some tickets, please. If every one of you spent $20 that are listening tonight, and in the next day or so, we'd have that 100-watt signal, and we could do so much more. What a bursary fund we could
Yeah.
set up for emerging
Advertising
artists.
and advertising funding would probably
Exactly.
increase too,
So, please support the station that supports the East Coast music scene.
And Ed,
Well
And
said.
music,
and
music puts me in my happy place.
yeah,
There
well,
you
it's
go.
there.
Well
And
said,
you got
sir.
a lot of music jumping in your defense, but this thing you got going on now. I mean,
Yeah.
you started a tsunami tonight.
Well, the
Yeah.
family is just overwhelmed. They can't believe it.
But honestly, if you want to do a third show, wow, you got the team here.
It'll be a weekend. Look, Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, the matinee. Somebody had mentioned matinees earlier too. Was that a good thing or
Sure.
bad thing?
Yeah, that's not a bad thing. And
Yeah.
actually, don't forget now, folks, check it out because these guys are going to put the link up for the email and that, so that if
Yes,
you
we
want to
will.
directly deposit some money in these
Absolutely,
people's
right up
account,
front, yeah.
you can do that, and bless you if you do that.
Right
Thank
on.
you.
But
Thank you
just
very much.
another day in life for you, Ed. I mean, you're amazing, right? Yeah.
So,
But it's
we
really,
go-
it's funny though, like in the morning, like I'll get in the bus, go down, and there's an empty seat.
that
it
must
just-
break your heart.
Just hits
Breaks
me.
your heart.
You know what? He'll be back, though. He'll be back.
Yeah,
He'll be
absolutely.
back.
Yep.
No question. So I want to thank you guys for being on here tonight.
awesome.
This was a lot of fun. This was exactly far surpassed what I thought it was going to
What
be.
a treat.
Dave didn't even annoy me tonight. That's how good it was.
Oh, it's
I would like to
over,
thank.
yeah.
I want to thank our ePrint Greg Sinclair and the gang, and you can't really see it, but they have a 40% off special for our musician friends
Yeah.
and anybody that wants to go and business cards, posters, banners, all kinds of stuff.
And Jason McCorston for the new
Jason
for the
McCorston.
banner,
Jason
the banner work,
McCorston.
and the nice logo for Capital Sports tonight.
So yes, Jason's in the process of he's doing a logo for Capital. He's doing a new one for the Frequency. There's another dude that gets it. He does a lot of great
He
work.
gets it, yeah.
Jeff McPherson's another one. You know, I mean, we could go for another 20 minutes to talk about all the people that we've been very lucky to have
So many.
been on here. We can't forget about Molson. Molson's been great at all the shows that we've taken part in. Brandon Schilderly, Reagan, and her team have been great. So we got to thank them.
Tonight we
Channel
want to thank
Technologies.
Dave and Darlene McDonald.
Well, yes.
For
We're
housing,
right here,
for housing
here.
our first live and interactive. We didn't really interact a whole lot.
Well,
but you know
Dave
what?
interacted.
Dave was very interactive
No,
tonight.
he was, and this was a lot of fun. I think this went very well. And
We can do this again for sure.
yeah, oh no, we can't. I mean, great setup, great setup. And Side Hustle on the 17th, right where we're sitting right now, is going to be in this very room.
Yep.
Not many tickets left, so sign up, buy,
Hustle down.
hustle down.
Do the hustle.
And the roundabout this week, I got TJ Myers next coming on
Nice.
Monday night.
Who?
And TJ Myers
yeah,
on Monday night.
cool.
And in 2 weeks, right there.
There
Michelle Ryder's coming in, her and Dave McKagan. So
Dave
that's gonna-
McKagan. There you go.
There's the next 2 weeks of the roundabouts.
The roundabout's
She's
on.
got a date in the Wolf's Den coming up.
There
really
you
you
soon,
go.
too.
Oh, she's
There-
all.
Man, oh, man, oh,
She's
man.
a walking piece of heart attack. Isn't she? There.
Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for being here. Thanks a lot, folks, for tuning in. We'll see you 2 Tuesdays from now. We don't even know what we're cooking up yet, but it'll be fun.
It's gonna be good.
Before then, it'll probably be the 17th, and you can come here to see the Side Hustle Band.
100%.
Riders and Side Hustle Band.
Thanks.
It'll be music.
Thanks for chiming
It'll
in
be
too, and the
musical.
messages for sending them in. Thanks,
Yeah.
Jeff, and all you guys, and Bill. Bill's always got
Yeah,
lots
Bill,
to
you
say.
had some great things to say. Thank you so much for everything we had to say tonight, guys. We didn't read a whole lot of messages. They're just good comments.
Great conversation
Thank
and
you so
good
much,
company.
Wayne. Thank you so much, Ed.
Thank you guys very much, eh? Really and truly.
Oh yeah, great job, guys. And on that note, yes, we are out.
We're out.
See you next time, Bullpen.
Be,
Ciao.
Peace
be
out.
good to each other. Hug the ones you love, folks.
Yeah.